If you're someone with ambition that wants more out of life, then you're probably pretty lonely. Trust me, I've been there. Even though I had many friends in high school, I always felt like an outsider. And it only got worse once I started wanting to improve my life. I read books about meditation, stopped drinking alcohol, started setting goals for myself, but none of my friends were on the same wavelength. The things I was extremely passionate about, I couldn't really share with any of them. I didn't want to be that kid that's just like, hey guys, have you heard of meditation? So I kept it all to myself, and it felt like nobody knew who I truly was. It was like I was living a double life. And I would say this is stage one of going through this loneliness cycle as someone with ambition. You hear the call for more, where your path is splitting itself from everyone else's. But it got really bad when I started my first business. I was in a new city, working all by myself all day, and just craving any form of social interaction. But every time I hung out with the friends of my girlfriend at the time, or just normal people, I only felt more isolated. So after a while, I just stopped trying, because even though I was experiencing this crippling loneliness, it was easier than spending time with people that just didn't get me. And this is where I got into stage two. I started accepting my fate as a lone wolf. And at that point, I understood where that feeling of being alone in a crowded room comes from. You'll feel this every time you think you need to filter yourself in order to fit in or be accepted. But in this stage, there's one source of connection you do have.
Welcome to Impact Theory. Our goal with this show
you can make some decisions to adjust that, and over the next
his business from nothing, and he grew to 2 billion.
Every minute I wasn't working, I was listening to someone who inspired me, who understood me, whether it was a podcast or an audiobook or just some random guy on YouTube with a funny accent that has an abnormally large forehead. And I had these imaginary relationships with these people online that helped me keep my sanity at the time. But it was only a temporary band-aid for a broken leg. After a while, I just couldn't keep going like this, and I just had to figure out how to make some friends. But there was only one problem. I sucked at making friends. Just in general, people suck at making new friends because they never actually have to proactively do it. Just look at your life right now. I bet that 90% of the people that you know, you just happen to meet by accident. They were at your school that you went to, at the university you went to, or just at work. You were just put into an environment where it just happens. But this time, I was working by myself, I had my own business, I was working from home. I had to put myself in an environment where these people hang out, which brought me into the next stage, the lone wolf looking for a new pack. I went on meetup.com and set a goal to go to 2 meetups every week. Of course, I couldn't just go, I had to set a goal. I went wherever I could find people who were interested in bringing their career or life to the next level. And that's exactly who I met. People who were interested in doing that at some point. Everywhere I went, it was the same. They were curious about starting a business, but the moment I told them that I was already doing well in business, at the time I was making like 100K in revenue per month, you could see something shift in their eyes. They started drilling me with all these questions, and it felt like they were putting me on a pedestal and were extra nice to me to like pick my brain. But I was just some dude who came here to just pick some friends. So then I started my own meetup where the requirement to join was that you have to have an up and running business. And guess how many people showed up? 0. No one. There's a bunch of people that came to the events, but they were all just thinking of starting out at some point. I ended up being the one that everyone looked up to because I actually had a business, and I hate that feeling. I don't want anyone to look up to me. I'm just a dude. At that point, I started becoming a little bitter. This idea that the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets, I thought maybe there's something to it. Was it worth it to climb to the top if you're gonna end up lonely? And this stage is called the lone wolf tried joining a new pack with the same interest, but now is looking for a pack that is on the path to climbing higher mountains. I don't know, I'm just making up these stages to sound smart and like I know what I'm talking about, which of course I do, because I'm someone on the internet. And this is when I was led down a wrong path, because I started thinking maybe I can only really connect with people if they're on a similar level in business or higher up, whatever that means. And I ended up paying $15,000 for a year-long membership to join a community of advanced entrepreneurs in Sydney. But I thought if I just meet one person that is on a similar level that I can connect with, this will be worth it. And I actually ended up meeting a couple of heavy hitters, you know, people that were running multiple companies with dozens of employees. It was great. The conversations were really interesting and we were able to connect intellectually, but something was still off. These were not really people that I could be friends with. And that's when my mind started to shift. I was still going to meetups at the time, and I ended up meeting these couple of young guys who were just really cool. They were running a little business on the side, nothing huge. They were fun to talk to. We had very similar interests, and we could talk about things we were passionate about. And this time it just clicked. But what was different this time? And this stage is called, I don't know, something where the lone wolf doesn't look for a pack that's just climbing the biggest mountain, but rather a pack that likes climbing mountains as well, but it's also just really cool and he clicks with. I've run out of analogies, but there's one that I've heard that explains it really, really well. There's 3 types of friends. First, there's beer friends. We've all been around those before. These are the types of friends that you can have fun with. They're funny, you can go out with them, but if you're looking for a deep connection or a meaningful conversation about your crazy business idea or Pokemon collection, then you're gonna be disappointed. Then there's wine friends. These are friends who not just have similar interests, but people you can have really deep, meaningful, and stimulating conversations with about the stuff that you care about. They help you grow and learn new things and challenge your views. And these were some of the people that I met in this exclusive entrepreneur group that I joined. But what I really wanted all this time was whiskey friends. They don't have to be Irish though. They can just be from anywhere. They're not just fun, you can also have deep conversations with them, but most importantly, you can share your most vulnerable moments with them, go through thick and thin, you have their back and they have yours. Why are you able to do that with them? Because you have matching values with them. Not necessarily the same, but you have aligning values. By meeting these 2 guys, I had gotten my foot in the door because soon after we each met some more people who were also on the same wavelength. We added them to the group, and that's the final stage, which is when you're building your own wolf pack. After a while, we had an entire group of like-minded people who were excited about growth. We hung out, worked together, traveled, and played pranks on each other, but this didn't last very long. If you've seen my previous video about how I built and sold my first business, then maybe you know why. Long story short, my relationship ended, which terminated my visa, and I had to leave Australia. And what followed was one of the loneliest years of my life. I saw my friends in Australia post pictures together on social media, and I was living all by myself in this tiny studio apartment in Germany. It was rainy and grey, and all this made me realize a very sad truth about relationships. They can be very hard to find, especially for weirdos like us. They take a long time to build, and the more time is invested, the better they usually get. And when they split apart, it is a huge loss in your life. But all the effort it takes, it's worth it. So I decided to, this time, really do something about it. I wanted to put myself in a situation where I have an abundance of relationships. No matter where I go, I have someone to go to. I just started posting into different Facebook groups and connecting with the people that I thought might be interesting. And I scheduled calls with a bunch of people from all over the world. And the few that I really clicked with, they all told me they were also experiencing this loneliness, where it was really hard for them to meet like-minded people. One of them was a German guy who was living in Cyprus, another one in Bali, then there was a guy from New Zealand, a couple of Australians and US Americans. And I organized these weekly group calls to just chat and exchange ideas, which ended up becoming a highlight for most of the people in the group. It was still pretty lonely because it was just behind the laptop screen, but slowly one thing started leading to the next. While living in Barcelona, I met up with one of the guys who I connected with online, and we just became friends very quickly. He introduced me to a couple of other people who then later on we ended up going to an event with in Croatia, where people from all over the world that were entrepreneurial came together, and there I made more friends. Then I was visiting some guys from my online group who were living in Cyprus, the European tax haven, and slowly but surely I started building out a wide network of people, an ecosystem of like-minded people. And this brought me to the place where I am now. I have friends all over the world in different countries that I'm still in touch with. I live in a house with 3 lovely roommates who are entrepreneurial and super fun, and I don't experience that same type of loneliness anymore. If you are struggling to meet like-minded people, here's what I think you should do. First, understand that you're currently here on this curve. It starts with just meeting that one person who then might know another, and that person might know an entire group until you're building your own ecosystem that grows exponentially. It is so much easier to meet new people when you've already met some people who are on the same wavelength. And remember that you can only really connect with people if you are really being yourself and you're not filtering yourself to be accepted or fit in. Secondly, make it a weekly or monthly routine that you schedule to build and nurture relationships. We all do it with our health by working working out 3 times a week, but nobody really does it for their relationships, even though that's the biggest pillar that determines whether you live a happy and fulfilling life or not. Whether it's just calling a friend who you haven't spoken to in a while, every week going to a meetup, or every month just setting up your own dinner where you invite new people to your place, these routines are really important, and it's actually something I need to do more of. And when it comes to putting yourself out there, look up events that are put together by online communities that you're part of, or just some people that you like that are making content.
I see content in everything.
Because what I found is that the people that you really click with oftentimes just consume the same stuff as you, and that's why they have similar interests and matching values. And that's my goal for the channel. I want to rebrand this into a movement that can bring some lone wolves together, and also with multiple creators, not just with me and my face on it, because I don't want it to be about me. I want this to be a group. And if one day I hear that people have met their best friends through an event that we've put together, this will be one of my proudest achievements. Because in the end, life is all about the experiences you have with people you love. If you want to know how I built and sold my first business, then you can check out this video over here where I laid out the full story. I'll see you over there, and thanks for watching. I hope this helped.